I'm back. Yeah, another pedal. It's pedal week. I rarely look at pedals, but anyway, this one was loaned to me. So don't think for a second that I bought it, because I haven't. It's one of the few ones. Actually, I've got some guitar stands coming up, but I didn't buy either. Manufacturer's sentiment said, tell everybody what you think of these. So I will. That's coming up. Anyway, this one was loaned to me by www.theacademyofsound.co.uk. If you're in England, there's a great bunch of guys that occasionally lend me something, which none of the others do. So I like them, you know. Save me a fortune. Especially save me a fortune if I was buying this one, because these cost £119, and you're going to say, well, I'm not going to say what you're going to say. But it's not cheap. But there again, it sort of does something. I've been reading about this because I'm not really a pedal guy. But that's okay. You are. It doesn't look much for your money, but it's what it does that matters, right? Well, this one's called a Buffer Plus from Empress. Or Empress. Depends where you come from with the old thing. Made in Canada, it says. Well, it probably is made in Canada if it says so. But we're going to have a look inside anyway. Well, what's a Buffer Plus about? Well, you guys that have got loads of pedals, think about this for a moment. What you've really got is yards and yards of wire. You know, you have all these pedals and they're all hooked together one after the other. You might have about 30 or 40 feet of wire. And then you've got your guitar cable, which is another 10 or 20 feet maybe. And then you've got the wire that comes out the other end that might be another 10 feet to the amp. It all adds up to a great big massive piece of cable where you're going to lose the drive from your guitar. You're going to lose the tone from your guitar. You're going to lose everything, the signal, the this, the that, the other. So, well, that's a problem. Well, how are you going to get around that? You won't be able to use that tone burst I showed you on the previous thing, because that's not quite the same answer. Because you're still going to lose this stuff through the wire with capacitance, and it will change your tone and all sorts of things. Well, that's where the Empress Plus comes in. What about that? What a great solution, hopefully. Now listen here, before we do get carried away, I haven't got a floor rack of 50 units. I've only got a few. So it's only going to see a few when we test it. I can't put 100 pedals because they're not my scene, man. I have one of them rack things that does them all in one go. It's much easier for me. But when you look at this, it does sound useful. What it's got, I mean, it's a bit weird. We'll zoom in and have a look in the back and in the front. What it's got like a loop. It says here, loop, guitar in, amp out, this side. And this side it says, loop out, loop in. You could go loopy. Anyway, the point is, in that loop, you send your wire out through all your pedals, wherever they go. And you bring it back to here. And now you've got a buffered loop. There's nothing like having a buffered loop, trust me, especially if you've never had one. It's got another few niceties too, such as it does have a 3 dB gain if you switch it in, or no gain, or minus 3 dB gain, depending what's floating around inside this thing. I suppose that's why they call it a Buffer Plus, but it has this sort of boost bit on it, which can help you with that signal. It's not the same as the tone burst from Mesa, so don't get confused. But also, what I thought was useful, it's got a noise filter on, right on the pedal. It says a little, none, or a lot. How can you argue with that? Input loading, it says here. Yeah, nice. And of course you've got the button, which isn't a click one. It doesn't actually click. I was waiting for that, but it didn't do it. So let's zoom in a bit closer and take a look. And don't forget, thank the boys at the Academy of Sound for lending it to me so you can see it. What a great bunch. Bunch of what? Hi guys. Well, here we are inside the Empress Buffer Plus. not much to see again, like most of these pedals, I guess. I could pull it apart, but I'm not going to because I don't own it, and I don't want to pull it apart anyway. What I like to look for is basically how it's made or how it's assembled and things like that. Now this one they say is made in Canada. I don't see anything contrary to that, so let's say that it is. What I do notice on it though is that it's got a great through-plated PCB, so it's probably double-sided. Probably, you probably wouldn't go more than double-sided on this thing. I do notice that all these little solder joints in here are done by hand, and you can tell if you look really careful. Maybe I can zoom in a bit closer. If you look, for example, let's bring that around a bit. There. And those two. And those 6 there. And as you carry on round, you find more bits and pieces that are hand soldered. So it all looks exactly like they say it looks. Handmade. Well, obviously the PCB's not handmade. They've had that made. They've got a load of I/O. They've got the power. Oh, one thing, by the way, this doesn't work on batteries. You'll see there's nowhere for the battery to go because they don't use batteries on it. You'll need really a 9-volt DC, 80 milliamp power supply with the negative on the inside. A bit like the PSA 120S Boss. That's good if you've got one of them, or something similar. Anything with a 9-volt DC, 80 milliamp or greater. Away you go. That all sounds good. So that's on the back. I'll flip it over to the front while we're here, just saves a lot of time. And there it is on the front. You can see that you've got your guitar in, you've got your amp out, so that's them two taken care of. And this side you've got this loop out and loop in. So out of here goes off to all your pedals, and when you've got to the end of your pedals you feed it back in that one. Got a tuner out too, which I thought was a nice little touch, stuck on the side. There's your power, just there. Round the front, got a little light to show that it's on. We've got this input gain or loss, minus 3 dB, 0 or plus 3 dB, which I suppose is useful, especially if you're losing a lot of the sort of gain in that loop. Then we've got a noise gate, which is little, none, or lots. No adjuster, it's just there. Then you've got this boost, which can boost the signal a little bit, I guess. Doesn't give you much information about that, but I don't think it does. Just have to dig a bit further. No, it doesn't actually tell you the amount of gain boost, but it is variable on this one here. That's what it says here. And another thing it rambles on about, I love all this, don't you? Input loading. This knob allows you to vary the load seen by your guitar pickups at the guitar in. Oh, what more can you say? I hope it does. We'll see it later. It's got an alternate use, it says here. The Buffer and Buffer Plus can also be used to split the input signal to multiple outputs. The input signal is normally routed to the loop out and tuner out. When nothing's connected to the loop in jack, the input signal will also be routed to the amp out jack. So you've got 1, 2, 3 outs. So you can make it a 3-out pedal. This can be used to run multiple amps or to record a second dry signal when tracking for reamping later. They are. The grounds of each input are not isolated, it says. Connecting to multiple sources cause a ground loop. Well, fancy that. So that's the negative of that. But it does an awful lot for what it is, don't you think? Well, I think it does anyway. Let's go back up top. So there you are, me hearties. Arr. Well, so there we have it. The Empress Buffer Plus. There it is. It'll be outside presently, plugged in, with a few things in the loop, and we'll see what it's like, see what it sounds like, see if you can tell any difference. That's the main thing. In reality, often you can, but sometimes through a camera you can't, and bear that in mind when you watch. So don't write the thing off because, well, I didn't hear much difference. Well, in reality you probably would. Yeah, we shall see, won't we? Now then, if you want any more reviews, go to www.tonymckenzie.com. I have to say this on every video, it gets boring. Which is here. Yeah, I got it right. Or www.youtube.com/TonyMcKenzieCom without the dot for all the other videos, hundreds of them. And it's coming up soon. Yeah, so watch out for it. It's any time now. See you again. Here's a quick shot of the studio with the pedals we're going to test. Well, at least one of the pedals we're going to test, the Empress, which is right there. You can see that we're simulating your floorboard with the cable. And I've got a few pedals in there, just to begin with. It's all going to be tested with that and the Electrodyne. Okay, well, we're coming out of the Electrodyne, or into the Electrodyne indeed, into the input. I've got the volume at about 2 o'clock, treble at about 12:30, mid at 12:30, bass at 11, presence at 12:30, master at 12, which is pretty loud really if you blast it. But some guys wanting to hear this, clean. I'm not the greatest player in clean, but here's some chords. It's just going through all these switches and pedals and things that are all turned off. So I've got this into the Empress, out of the Empress, straight to there. The Empress is turned completely off. So there you have it. Well, I've got some pedals down on the floor here that maybe I'll cut a picture of in there, and you'll see, so you can get an idea. And everything's turned off except I've got these big coils of wire, so it's coming in here, going through. I'll send it through the loop. That's all going through a loop, and it'll come out the other end, no doubt, as a guitar. So it's only on the clean channel, so you get an idea of that pedal working and not working. Well, actually it doesn't sound as if it's lost too much treble to me, but that's just life. So if we turn a few of these pedals on, I'll just turn I'll turn them a couple on. There's a couple of delays and things there. So you get this sort of, remember it's going through that loop on the Empress. Nice. Now, in reality, it sounds okay with or without, but of course the Buffer Plus does other things as well. So it's got rid of all that big loop of cable on your pedal board. But what it also does, it can sort of boost things. So if I turn those back off, so nothing's on the pedals, I've turned the boost on the Empress. Now I haven't got it turned up high, so don't expect it to blast the floor out. It's only at 9 o'clock on the pedal. Should have heard a difference. Off, on, off, and on. So it does make a difference. Now it does sound a little bit more less toppy. Maybe it's just how I play. We put these back in. Leave the boost on as well. So let's turn them back off. Now there's also a noise gate on the Plus, which I'll just turn on now. Okay, so I turned the noise gate on. There's a bit of humming here, but that's just life. Noise gate's on, Buffer Plus is off, except for the noise gate. I don't hear much difference, but I guess if you blast a lot of stuff through it, excuse me, then that'll make a difference. Let's put a tube screamer on. Yeah, there's one. I don't know, make your own mind up on that one. Let me turn the noise gate off. Sniffles, that's what it is, off the wife. She's always in on the axe somehow. Let me turn the noise gate off. And let me turn, there's a minus 3 dB and a plus dB. It's on 0 at the minute, so let's do that. Hold on. Okay, well this is minus 3. Let's see if I can kick it on. This is plus 3. Big difference. Right on. Now lastly, I've got that boost. There's a boost on this thing. It's turned off at the moment. It's at 9 o'clock. I'm going to whiz it up to about 12 o'clock, which I did with my foot. Actually, it was my big toe. And here he is with and without that. Everything else is turned off. Okay? Off. And on. Nice. Well, I guess that works well. Can you imagine driving this amp with that pedal? Yeah. On the right channel, it's going to rock and roll. But I've gone on the pedal for that. Anyway, that's the Buffer Plus. Quick review. It was loaned to me by the Academy of Sound, which is www.theacademyofsound.co.uk. Great bunch of guys. Sometimes they lend me the odd piece of gear, but not often. Never mind. There he is. It's had its review. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, I think it's quite good, especially with its boosts and things. I'm not so sure about the noise gate, but that's another story. So there you go. By the way, I'm using those guitar stands. This one's the ice one. Yeah, the electric ice stand, I think it's called. And there it is with my very expensive guitar on it. Well, if I can trust that stand to this, I guess you can trust the stand to your Squire. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, great stands. Don't go anywhere. You'd have to really hammer that to get it off. Shut up.